Elizabeth Blackwell changed the face of medicine forever. Today's knowledge on medical topics and research would not be the same if it weren't for Elizabeth Blackwell. She was the first woman to graduate from medical school in the United States. She later became a great role model for women and even a health activist. Without her and the feats she fought to graduate from medical school as a woman in the 1800s, the face of medicine for you and me would be vastly different. Blackwell faced many obstacles in her lifetime by overcoming discrimination of being a woman and wanting to become a doctor, as well as emphasizing topics male doctors could have cared less about. By being strong and independent, Elizabeth Blackwell forever altered the future of medicine by being the first female graduate from medical school and installing many medical facilities such as a college and clinic in New York City. Elizabeth was born in Bristol, England on February 3, 1821. She had many siblings, being the third of 9 children born into Hannah Lane and Samuel Blackwell. Later on in her childhood years, she moved with her family to the United States. They settled down in Cincinnati, Ohio. Unfortunately, in 1838, Elizabeth's father passed away, leaving the family in a state of panic with no financial support. Elizabeth and her mother, as well as a couple of her sisters, worked as teachers. Later on in her life, her good friend Mary became sick. Elizabeth would spend time checking up on her and her friend and visiting her. Her friend's illness inspired Elizabeth and helped her to realize her dreams of becoming a female physician. While Elizabeth was teaching, she boarded with 2 families who had physicians in them, who turned out to be her mentors according to the National Women's History Museum website. She started to apply to schools in 1847 and was rejected into everywhere she applied. The estimated number of rejections was actually around 27. Eventually, she was admitted into Geneva College in New York, but this was meant to be a practical joke. Once in college, Elizabeth worked extra hard to make a name for herself and stray away from letting the male professors taunt her and try to tear her down. She proudly earned the respect of her peers and graduated first of her class in 1849. She later continued her training in Paris and London hospitals. Being the first woman graduate from medical school would not be the only accomplishment Elizabeth would have in her lifetime. The accomplishments made by Elizabeth Blackwell earned her great respect in her field, and we still feel the effects of them today. After graduating at the top of her class and writing herself into the history books, Elizabeth adopted a little girl named Kitty. To add to all of her hard work and job requirements of being a doctor, she was even able to be a fantastic mother. In the mid-1850s, she opened a clinic for poor women that was known as the New York Dispensary for Poor Women and Children. Elizabeth worked as a surgeon there with the help of her sister Emily and another physician, Maria Vadswarsky. Elizabeth also managed to install the New York Infirmary for Indigent Women and Children, which would last for more than a century. In the year of 1868, Elizabeth opened a medical college in New York City. Here, the students of the Women's Medical College of the New York Infirmary had a comprehensive, highly structured, and competitive curriculum, as described by the biography on Elizabeth Blackwell on biography.com. On top of all of this, Elizabeth focused and educated on the importance of hand hygiene in the medical world. Many male doctors dismissed the idea, which caused cases of infection. Elizabeth emphasized the importance of personal hygiene in many ways and stressed it as a preventative measure for further sickness in patients. Because of this, Elizabeth was able to start the National Health Society in 1871, which helped people learn to stay healthy. This largely changed the face of medicine and even everyday life because we all know how important it is to wash our hands. From starting a medical school to implementing hygiene practices, Elizabeth accomplished many things, but these were not without hardships. Blackwell was faced with more hardships that many of us could not handle, but she did not let those stop her from accomplishing many great things. Elizabeth was taunted by her professors and even some of her patients. Some of her professors forced her to sit separately at lectures and even excluded her from her labs. I cannot imagine the embarrassment that this would have caused her. I tried to put myself in her shoes, and I do not think I could do what she did. Elizabeth was even shunned by her local neighbors and townspeople for defying her gender roles. Her acceptance into college was even a joke, but in reality, the joke's on Geneva College because Elizabeth defied all expectations and proved everyone wrong. Elizabeth had to go up against many male doctors and try to get them to practice personal hygiene and hand washing more, and this was not an easy thing to do in the 1800s. Because of her ability to teach and stand up for herself, she was able to have many accomplishments and change the safety of hospitals forever. The simple fact that Elizabeth did not let anyone's teasing get to her made her and still makes her to this day an amazing role model. She is a great figure that reflects the truths of having confidence in oneself and not letting people's ideas about you or the way you look stop you from achieving your dreams. Elizabeth Blackwell changed the face of history throughout her entire lifetime, and for that, her life and her legacy will never be forgotten. Elizabeth Blackwell's life will be one that people will hear about for years to come. The struggle and sickness of her close friend Mary inspired Elizabeth to become the first female doctor and graduate. Her creation of clinics, hospitals, and schools influenced the activist ideas of roles of women in society. Not to mention, the facility started by Blackwell benefited the poor patients that went there for treatment beyond words. Of course, none of this was without discrimination and hardships, but Elizabeth did not let that get in her way. Everyone should take away the idea that no matter what people think of you or think you are meant to be, it is only up to you to decide your future. Just as Elizabeth once said, "It is not easy being a pioneer, but oh, it is fascinating."